Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Erica. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a super cute and easy craft supply caddy. So in today's video, we're going to be making this adorable craft supply caddy. As you can see, we've got pockets everywhere. We have just as many pockets inside, and then there's a ton of room inside for all of your goodies. This caddy is perfect for your cross stitch projects, your knit and crochet projects. You can fill it with supplies if you're going to go sew somewhere, English paper piecing, and just about any craft you can imagine. So let's go ahead and get started with today's tutorial. So for our video today, our supplies are super simple. I am going to be using a Cocoa Knits short handle leather handle kit. I've used these on several of my bags. I love them. I got mine at Piney Creek. That's my local yarn shop, but you can also get these online on the Cocoa Knits website. You're also going to need some fabric. For today's project, I'm using a fabric called Duck Canvas, and basically it's a tight weave canvas. It's tighter than normal canvas, so it's actually really heavy duty and sturdy. It also is semi-waterproof. It has a waterproof rating of 8. And basically it's just a really nice, thick, sturdy canvas. So we are not going to line today's bag. If you would like to line a bag that's similar to this, I will link a video here that shows it's a similar design. It's not quite the same, but you could figure out how to add the pockets, and it does show you how to add lining. Since we're doing the duck canvas, we're not going to be adding lining today. So you will need some nice canvas fabric. I also like using Wonder Clips for this. I feel like it works better than regular pins. And then of course I've got my ruler. And then today I'm going to be using a seam roller. You can iron this fabric, but honestly you don't really need to. It's got like, once you crease it, that crease stays really well. So I'm going to just be using my seam roller for today. All right, those are the only supplies we're going to need other than our sewing machine. Let's go ahead and get started. So I've got 2 pieces of fabric for my binding. I've got some pieces of fabric for my pockets, and then I've got some fabric for our main outer bag panel. The measurements for all of these pieces will be included in the pattern, and there is a link to download the pattern below this video. You can also go to my store and you can search Erica's Craft Caddy and you'll find the pattern there. So to start out with, I'm going to set aside our main panel and our little binding pieces, and we're just going to work on the pockets. I'm going to put pockets on the inside and on the outside so I have extra storage, but if you want to adjust the pockets, you can. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to take this top edge of our pocket, and I'm just folding it under about 1/4 of an inch. I'm eyeballing it. You can measure if you like. Just going to fold it in 1/4 of an inch, and then I'm going to fold it one more 1/4 of an inch. And again, I'm just seam rollering this. I know this fabric is dark, so I do apologize. Just like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and put a couple of clips on there just to hold it while I'm doing the other pieces, but I'm going to do that to all of my pockets. The other thing I'm going to do is fold up this bottom edge. Now, I actually want the folded edge to be on the outside. I think it makes it look like you added binding to your pocket, so it gives it kind of a finished look. So I'm actually going to now flip this over and fold the bottom edge in the opposite direction. Again, just about 1/4 of an inch. And this one is just to hide the raw seam. It'll be on the inside of the pocket. This stuff doesn't really fray much. It's nice and tight. I just want to hide that raw seam. Okay, the next thing we're going to do, we're not going to work on the bottom edge that's only folded once. We're going to flip it over and we're going to just work on this top edge that's been folded twice. I'm going to run a stitch line right along the top of this to hold that top edge secure. All right, so hopefully you can see that I have stitched that top edge, and like I said, I like seeing this ridge right there. I think it just makes the pocket look a little more finished. If you didn't like that, you could leave it like this for the right side, but I actually kind of like the way it looks. So I'm going to have this be the outside of my pocket. I'm going to go ahead and leave this right now because we are going to sew this down when we add it to our main bag panel. So I'm going to complete this step for all of my pocket pieces. One other clever little tool I thought I would share for you here is the Clover. I believe this is called like hot press, or I'll put it on the screen below. I can't remember because it's been a bit since I've used it. But you can lay it right here on a fabric like this, And then you can use that as a guide to press down your 1/4 of an inch. So that's also kind of a handy little trick. I'm usually not this precise or worried about it, but if you are, this is a great little tool to have in your stash. All right, so I finished all 4 of my pocket panels, and I'm going to set 3 of them aside. I'm just going to be working with 1 right now. I also have my main bag panel, and I've actually folded my main bag panel in half. So I've got 2 pieces here, and then I am marking approximately 3 inches up from that bottom fold. And you can just use a little white marker. You can also just make a crease in this and follow the crease, but that's going to be our stitch line for our pockets. So we're going to take our first pocket, and this is the bottom folded edge that I haven't sewn yet. This is my top folded edge. We're going to just line that right up along that stitch line. So here is the pocket that I've already hemmed. Here's the top of our bag. Here's the fold of our bag, and then here's our 3-inch line in the bottom of our pocket. I'm going to go ahead. You don't want to sew it through both layers, so now I'm just going to clip it on the sides there and on the sides here. And now I can unfold my bag. So here's what we have. Now I need to sew along this, but I'm actually going to add another pocket to the inside. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that for now. I'm going to flip this over. I still have my center fold, and if you would like, you can go ahead and just mark that as well so that you have something to go by. So there's our center fold. So we're going to mark again 3 inches up. I'm going to draw another little line, and this should overlap with the pocket on the outside. So now we're going to take our other pocket, do the same thing. We're placing it folded side under, so we're getting rid of that raw edge. I'm going to just add it in to my existing clips. Okay, and now we're going to take this to our sewing machine. We're going to sew along this bottom edge, making sure that I get this pocket, my main bag panel, and the pocket on the front. Making sure that I get this pocket, my main bag panel, and the pocket that we added to the other side. So we've got our pockets sewn on, and at this point I just like to take my clips off and just make sure that I don't have any holes on this side or on this side, and it looks good. So we can move on to our next step. I am going to just leave these on for now just to keep everything lined up. And now we just need to decide what size pockets we want. You can do anything you like here. This part is totally customizable. You could run a seam just right down the middle so you have 2 larger pockets. I want some extra pockets that are a little bit smaller for scissors and pencils and things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a line. I guess I should have waited for those. I'm going to do a line approximately 3 inches in from both sides. And then I'm going to do 4 inches apart after that. So here's 1 4 inches and 4 inches. Okay. And I'm going to get rid of that line. Again, like I said, I like to keep these little side clips on until I'm done with this step, just because it helps make sure that nothing's flopping around the wrong direction. Now we're going to take this to our machine. We're going to backstitch at our stops and starts to give it a little extra strength, and we're just going to sew right up our drawn lines. That's going to give us the same size pockets on the outside as we have on the inside. All right, so here we are. We've got our pockets on both sides. We are going to repeat that same exact step on the other side of our bag. So here is our center line. We're going to mark 3 inches up. We're going to add both of our pocket panels and then sew those lines. So exactly the same thing that you did on this side of the bag, we're going to do on this side of the bag. Okay, so I have got my pockets on both panels, and then I just have a little wet cloth right here. And as you can see, we'll do a close-up. These lines just wipe right off. But they're really handy if you are working on darker fabrics. And here's what I'm using. It's just a water-soluble pencil by Clover. And they have them in different colors. The white ones are great, obviously, for darker fabrics. They also have them in blue for lighter fabrics. So that's a great tool to use on this canvas. So the next thing we're going to do is figure out which side we want to be our outside of our bag and which side we want to be on the inside. I'm going to go ahead and have this be my outside of my panel. I think my seams just look a little bit nicer on this side. And since I have that edge folded over towards me on my pocket panel, I'm going to do the same thing along the top edge of my bag. So I'm just going to fold it over 1/4 of an inch again. You can do this first as well, but I actually like to do it afterward because sometimes the pockets don't look perfect or whatever. And so this way I can choose which side I want to be the outside. And again, I'm just finger pressing this. You can roller it, you can do whatever you like. And I'm going to go ahead and just give that a quick little roll. Add a couple of Wonder Clips. And then we're going to take that to our machine and sew right along this edge. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and flip it over and repeat the same thing on the other side. Okay, so now I've got both of my outside edges folded up 1/4 of an inch and then one more 1/4 of an inch. And I'm going to take that to my sewing machine and just sew right along that edge. All right, so we're getting close to being done, you guys. Like I said, this bag is so easy. So we've got our top and bottom edge folded over twice and sewn. We've got our pockets added on both sides, and now we just need to basically assemble the boxed portion of our bag. And I'm going to do it a different way than I normally do because this is kind of a fun way, and also it's super easy. So next we're going to take our bag and I'm going to fold it in half. So the top edges are touching, and these are the tops of my pockets, and then here's my bottom fold of my bag. And I'm basically going to fold up along this pocket right here and also along the back pocket, and it just folds naturally because you've got those pockets sewn there. And then the center seam is going to get tucked up inside of our bag. So you should be having something that looks like this. When you open it up, you've got that center seam right in there, and then about 3 or so inches on each side of your center seam. Now we're going to take this to our sewing machine and we're going to sew up this side, but before we do, or while we are doing that, we're going to actually add our binding as well. It's going to make this project super easy and totally finished when we're done with no raw edges. So here is one of my binding strips, and at this point I'm going to fold up the edge and fold up this raw edge just so that it's the same length or height as my bag, and I'm just going to clip that in place. And we're going to take this to our sewing machine and sew right along that edge. But before we do, we're going to do the same thing to this side. My binding is going to be just slightly longer than my bag, so all I'm going to do is just fold it up just like that on this end, clip it in place. It's a lot of layers. By the way, if you need to, you may want to use a denim needle on this project because we do have a lot of layers we're working with canvas. And we're going to clip that in place as well. Okay, we're going to take this to our machine and just sew right along this edge using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I am going to backstitch at my stops and starts. When you get to this section right here where you start having pockets, just go slowly. It's a lot of bulk. right, now we're going to take this and fold it over just like this and over to the other side of our bag. And before we sew it down, I'm also going to tuck it under about 1/4 of an inch. I really just tuck it to the edge of my existing bag, just like that, and then fold it over. And you can throw a couple clips to keep it in place while you're sewing. We're just going to sew that down. All right, so I thought I would show it up close a little bit as well since I did the last one at the machine, but we did sew our binding on this side. We're going to just fold it up, and then I flip it over. So now we're taking this raw edge and we're folding it towards the bag and then over the edge, just like that. Okay, so that's what that edge is going to look like, and then we just need to run a stitch right along this edge to finish our binding. All right, so here's what our bag is looking like. We've got our top edge, we've got our finished sides, and then we should have a folded in bottom. Before I move on, I'm just going to cut off my little threads from where I added pockets, anywhere where I've got a little thread peeking out. Okay, and we're going to flip it inside out. So we're just going to grab those corners, grab this corner, flip everything inside out. And then at this point, what I like to do is just crease these corner edges right here. We already, if you'll notice, have a stitch line from our pockets there, so that'll help give us a little bit more structure as well. But I just like to sort of crease that. And there we go. And I know this is hard to see with the dark fabric, but doesn't that look cool? Okay, and then all we have to do now is just add our handle straps. There are instructions on how to add these handles in the package. I got the short ones. I just thought those would be better for this size bag. And I'm going to put one on both sides. You could also put it on the end. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just fold my bag down so that I can work on a flatter surface so that I can make sure that my handles are straight. And I think if I put my handles about 1, 2, 3 inches maybe in from each edge, or 3.5 inches in, so something like this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and use my pencil again, and I'm just going to make a mark where these holes are. And then I'm going to just use this dowel. This is from Modern American Vintage, and he has a ton of wooden tools, and I'm literally just poking a hole right where those are. And I think I'm going to scoot it down just a tad so that I'm missing that seam right there, so it's not hard to get through. So I'm poking right under my seam. And I do like to try and make that hole a little bit bigger so that the pieces can get through it easier. And then if you ever need to wash this bag, you can take the straps off, wash them, and put them back on. So this is going to go either on the inside or outside, however you like it. I think I would like this on the inside and my handle on the outside. So I'm going to go ahead and just run this through both of these. There are instructions on the back of the packet too, so don't worry if this isn't making sense to you. But here, so it looks like this. And then I'm poking those out from the inside. Just like that. So it looks like that on the inside. And then we're going to put them through here and tie them. But I'm actually just going to do both of these first because I think it'll be easier. So again, just like that, and then we're coming from the inside of the bag outside. Okay, so now we've got both of those ready, and we just need to attach our handle. So the only thing here is just to make sure you don't twist your handle, but otherwise it's pretty easy. I just go ahead and tie this like I'm tying my shoelaces, so once and then twice to make a knot. And they're pretty easy. They will come loose a little bit, so I just tighten my knots every now and then. Once it's been on for a while, they stay. And then they're also really easy to get off if you need to wash your bag. There we go. And that's what one side looks like. I'm just gonna repeat that on the other side. All right, and then the last thing we're gonna do is add a little stability to the bottom of our bag. So I've cut 2 pieces out of a fairly thick interfacing, and this isn't fusible or anything, it's just a nice stabilizer, and I'm gonna use both of those together. And then I also have a piece of fabric, and we're going to be folding this fabric in half, just like this. And almost like when we create a pocket, we're gonna sew up the sides and across the bottom, leaving an opening. We're gonna stuff this inside there and then close up that opening, and then we'll have a nice finished piece to stick down inside of our bag. Next, I'm just going to trim off these little corners so that it turns out just slightly easier. Just don't cut through your stitch line. And then we're going to flip this right side out. I left myself a nice wide opening also, just so that it's not too hard to get this back in there. And then I do like to press this bottom edge in just 1/4 of an inch, just so it's ready to go. And then I can tuck my interfacing, roll it up a little bit, tuck my interfacing in there. If you've sewn a little bit too tight, you can always just trim your interfacing down a little bit. It won't matter. You're just trying to give some structure to the bottom of your bag. Mine's fitting pretty good. Okay, and then now I just need to close up my little opening. I've just folded that edge under. I'm gonna add a couple of clips just to hold it in place. And then we can take this to our machine and just sew our opening closed. Then we can just stick this extra panel down inside of our bag. And then if we need to store our bag, we can fold it flat and just stick this inside it so it's removable and you can fold your bag. All right, so here is my insert, and I've actually sewn all the way around all 4 sides, and that way it has a little bit more of a finished look and it holds everything in place. And then we can grab our little bag. I've already started putting some stuff in, and just slide that right down into the bottom. And then that fits just right inside the bottom of our bag, nice and snug. And I know that it's hard to see because I chose this dark fabric, so I'm so sorry. And then it just gives your tote a little bit more structure when you're carrying lots of goodies inside. And here we go. I've added lots of fun goodies into this little craft caddy. I hope you enjoy this video. As you can see, it was super easy. It's super functional. It's perfect for bringing your quilting supplies on the go. You can bring cross stitch, knit and crochet, embroidery, just about any craft you enjoy. I think you'll find that the craft caddy is perfect for. So that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to thumbs up and subscribe. You can also hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any upcoming fun. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I will see you in the next video.